In this video, we will finish out the final step for authentication, which will involve us creating a partial view that we'll place into our master template for our website that will show us whether a user is already logged in and who they are, or it will allow the user a quick and easy link in the upper right hand corner to log in. So to start off, I'm going to create another public action. And this action will actually be labeled as a child-only action because it will be a partial. And this will be our login partial. And then we'll return a partial view. We're also going to do some additional validation above. We're going to check for an authenticated user. We will capture the authenticated user, and then we will pass the authenticated user view model if authenticated. So to check if someone is authenticated, the easiest way is to simply say if, and then we'll say this.request.isAuthenticated. And that boolean goes through and checks if the user is actually authenticated. And if the user is authenticated, we're going to capture that user and pass in that information. Else, we'll simply return the empty view. So to capture that, first thing we'll need is the username. And we'll get that from this.user.identity.name. That name is the username that we stored in this persist user when we passed in the username here. So we will grab that username, and then we will do a using statement for our module 8 DB context. And from here we'll say context.users.where, or I'm sorry, not where, but first or default, x.username equals username. In this case, this will be our user DTO. And then we'll need a user view model object to store into. So I'm going to jump up here above my using so that I'm in scope and say user view model, user VM. And then inside of my using statement, I will say user VM equals a new user view model. And then from here I can basically pump in my values for my DTO. I should go ahead and grab the ID as well. I do not need the password, and user DTO.username. Alright, and then the last step is to return partial view still, but this time we're going to pass our user view model. Okay, and then that will close out our method. So go ahead and just do a quick F6, make sure everything builds, everything looks good. So now we need to actually have our partial. So I'm going to right click and do add view. This will be my login partial. I'm going to go ahead and make an empty partial, and I'm still going to bind it to my user view model. I'm going to go ahead and check that this is a partial view, and I'm going to hit add. And that'll generate essentially a blank view that does include my view model at the top. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to start off with an if statement. I'm going to say if this.model equals null. I want to show one type of view, else I want to show a different kind of view. So if my model is null, then I'm going to do html.link, and there'll be an action link, and the text will say click here to log in. And I'm going to redirect to the action of login, and my object route value, let's see, my controller is what I really want, will be my account controller. Else, I'm going to do a little div, and inside of this div, it's going to say welcome model.firstname space model.lastname. And then in parentheses I'll say model.username. And then next to that I will put another html.action link that will be logout. I'll pass to a logout action in my account controller. Now the logout action doesn't exist yet, so we'll have to go back and add that to the account controller. And to do that, it's actually fairly simple. The logout action would simply be public action result, logout, no parameters, and then if we use system.web.security.forms authentication, there's a sign out method, takes no parameters as well, and then return, and then we'll redirect to action, and we'll do index home. So that will sign us out, clear the cookie, and then redirect us back to our home page. Okay, so that'll be our logout. And then this will be our partial. Now to insert the partial, we're going to go into views, we're going to go to shared, and then we're going to our layout view. Now this view is a view that kind of came with part of our template, and that's what gives us our Chrome or our common URL or common design for our website. So if we run this real fast, you'll see here that our views typically only have a section of the page that we're actually seeing. And in this case I'm still logged in, so let me go to account/logout. So that brings us to our login page, and then the underscore layout file is giving us the section that says application name in this footer here. So if we flip back, you'll see here that it says my ASP.NET site. Further down here we'll see a section that says application name, and maybe we'll call this Kevin's web app, just for example. If I save that, no rebuild, F5, and now it says Kevin's web app. So that's where those elements of the web page are being controlled. What I'd like to do is in this navbar section is I want to add a second option, which is that login logout area. So to do that, I'm just going to go next to this action link, and I'm going to say html.action, and I'm going to call the login partial off of my account controller. And I may go ahead and put in some no breaking line space in here just to kind of put some separation in. So we'll save that, and since we've already done a build and run, we should be able to incorporate that action call, hit F5, and there's our click here to log in. And then if we log in, now we get redirected to this page, which is not pulling the layout. We can make a quick adjustment here. What we're needing in this case is that we need to bring in that partial, or I'm sorry, we need to incorporate the layout piece. So to do that, we need to actually go into our home controller and create a view for this. So we'll return view, right click, add new view. I'm just going to do an empty view, and I'll be using the layout page, so I'll hit add. And then we'll simply come in here and we'll say this .user.identity.name, and we'll say welcome, comma. So that would be the equivalent of doing it right within the view. So we'll go ahead now, and we've incorporated that view. We did make a change to our controller, so we'll F6 to rebuild, F5 to rerun. And we should still be authenticated, so that should bring us right into the home index, and there's our name information. It's just in black, so welcome Kevin Gantos with our username and the logout. So obviously there's some aesthetics work that needs to be done to get this all looking good, but we are in a very good spot with it. So we could come in here and simply add a style, color, white. Do a quick refresh here, and there's our text. So additional CSS and alignment work could be done to make this look a little better, but just for proof of concept, we've got all of our elements there. We've got our welcome, our username, and everything is looking in good shape. So that is how you then incorporate user data into your application with authentication.